Hey everybody, it's Jason Cruz here once again with another episode of The Interview. And today we have Amanda Levy. Is that correct?
Yep, Levy.
Levy, I'm sorry. Amanda Levy.
Okay.
PFL Challenger Series goes down next month. And you have a fight scheduled. And I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce the young woman's name. Naranjal Sendayush, I believe, is who she is. PFL Challenger Series takes place February 3rd in Orlando, Florida. Amanda, as like I always ask every fighter that comes on to interview with me, I ask them, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm
Excellent.
very excited, pretty pumped for this matchup. February 3rd can't come soon enough.
Excellent. So now, where are we finding you? Are you based out of the Northeast area? Where do you train?
Yeah, so I'm from Philadelphia, so I
Okay.
train in Philly. So I'm like really lucky because like this like tri-state area with like New York, New Jersey, PA, it all has very good like jiu-jitsu, like MMA scenes really growing here. So I'm just really lucky to be surrounded by a lot of it.
Excellent. And so Tapology has you down as with Dante Rivera, BJJ. Is that still happening?
No.
Okay.
So I'm with Marquez MMA.
Okay.
And then I train in a couple other places too. I'm kind of all over the place.
Okay. Okay. And so is that what you do for every training camp? You kind of dabble, or is it with Marquez MMA that you generally are training with?
Yeah, so I just started working with them more for this camp. So my last PFL fight, I was working more with a person in Jersey called Beacon MMA, and I'm still working with him for this camp. But I just added Marquez MMA because they're like really growing with the MMA scene right now. They have like so many guys in UFC. They have like Sean Brady, Pat Sabatini, Andre Petrosky, Jeremiah Wells. So like it's just a good room to be in if you're trying to grow in the sport.
Okay. And was that the primary reason, is that you just wanted to be with more professional fighters with your training?
Exactly. Yep. So they just have a tough room. It's definitely not a room to like you can't bitch out in that room is basically the whole thing. It's a very, very tough room and everyone's there to grind and that's why I really like it there.
So how has this training camp been? You haven't fought since last spring, or at least haven't been competing since last spring. How has it been?
It's been good. So I got injured in March of 2021. So I broke my fibula. So that was like a long recovery for me. So I had to, take a step back and that was pretty hard, like mentally and physically on me. But it definitely lit a fire in me and I'm pretty excited to be able to get back into the cage.
Now, so how did that come about? And I apologize if it happened in a bout that I was not following, but how did that?
Oh yeah, so it was a grappling match. I
Okay,
was in London and I was going against another female grappler. Her name was Kendall Roosing,
okay.
and it was like nothing she did. It was actually more of like a weird fluke thing. Like my foot was in a spot that you could in jiu-jitsu would have your foot in like 1,000 different scenarios, and
Okay.
she just pressured in a little bit, and my leg just snapped. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, so was it she going for a foot lock, or was it just
Nope,
more? No.
nothing. My foot was on her torso, and then when she pressured in, it just sounded like a 2x4 snapping. It was
Mm,
crazy.
ugh. And so how has that how long did you have to rehab your leg or get it back to full strength to where you could take a fight?
So it was probably like 7, 8 months, till it stopped giving me like problems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I competed in a grappling tournament in September just to test it out. Um, and at that point, it was still kind of like sore here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I did great in the grappling tournament. Ended up getting first, and
Nice.
then I did like a combat jujitsu match in December just to really make sure that it was still really good to go because I didn't want it. I didn't want MMA to be the first thing I tested it out on. Um, so I wanted to make sure that I did like at least 2 grappling events to make sure it was solid.
So grappling is your base. Is there something with respect to MMA that's more challenging when you transferred over to start doing MMA?
Yeah, so just like the striking aspect, because striking is just so much more fast paced. Jujitsu, you can like chill out for a second. You have time to analyze situations. I mean, it can get very scrambly, but like for the most part, you can control the pace better. Whereas striking is just super high paced, and you have to use more of your eyes than your body. Like jujitsu is more, you can go with it, kind of feel more, as in like striking, you have to use more of your eyes. So I think getting used to like the fast pace of striking and then like having to use my eyes more was definitely a challenge for me.
How did you get into MMA? Was it something like it was just the natural progression from grappling tournaments, or was there something else that you wanted to give it a try?
So just it was just like a natural progression for me. I would probably say like once I was a kid and I saw like Cyborg fight Gina Carano,
Hmm.
I was like, oh man, I want to do MMA. So like ever since like that, it was kind of like the goal for me to do MMA. And like get out there, and I just think that because there's more at stake, it's like more appealing to me because like I just like I like being scared and then overcoming my fears. So um that's like a good that's like the ultimate thing because there's so much at stake there.
I see. And so, how did you get hooked up with the PFL Challenger Series and this great opportunity?
So I fought my first professional fight with them in August of 2021. So it was more they were looking for a 155er, and even though I walked around at 155, 160, I was still like, oh man, that's a great opportunity. I'll take it. So I took that. I ended up winning that, and then um, I was just looking for another MMA fight. And once they reached out and said that they were doing like a 145 division, I was even more excited because that's more of where I want to fight anyway. That's my weight to fight at.
Yeah. So, as far as the cutting weight and all of that aspect, it's not a lot you have to do in that regard. Is that correct?
Yeah. So basically if I once I start cleaning up my diet, I naturally get down to 145.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now tell me a little bit about going into this fight. This is just your second pro fight, from what I'm told. Uh, how did you go about tuning down the camp and getting ready for the fight? Are you where are you right now in your fight camp? Are you still in the midst of going, or are we you're starting to tune things down in preparation for February?
I'm still going for right now, and then I'll probably start to tone it down after next week.
Okay. Okay. And so is there any kind of strategy going into this fight? Are you mainly focusing right now, you and your coaches just focusing on your strategy, imposing upon your opponent right now, as opposed to kind of watching any kind of matches from her?
Yeah, so we still watched her matches, and she's a judo girl.
Hmm.
So I'm a jujitsu girl, so I was like, my theory is like, okay, like judo, you're on the ground for like 15 seconds, I think, or something. Once it hits the ground, I'm like, all right, like I should feel pretty confident in my jiu-jitsu game, especially because I've been doing it for so long. If it does end up on the ground, but I always like to go into the mindset that I'm going to impose my will on my opponent and not worry about so much what they're going to do.
Yeah. So yeah, she has a judo background. You have a jujitsu background. Obviously, it's going to be a boxing match.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So, what is the plans for Amanda, for your progression this year? What are your goals as far as getting through? Would you like to see yourself advancing through the PFL Challenger Series and maybe getting a shot to be in a season? It does appear that the 145 women's division wants to beef up a little bit as far as getting more people on that roster. What are your thoughts?
100%. Like that's my ultimate goal is to get on that roster for the 145 division. There's big names in there like Aspen Ladd and Julia Budd. So it definitely is very appealing. And if you're not going out trying to beat the best, then what's the point of doing it?
Obviously. And so, do you believe that your grappling tournaments have helped you kind of mentally prepare for like a fight week type of thing? I mean, this is only your second pro fight week, but you have a multitude of grappling tournaments. Has that helped?
For sure. It's not the same intensity because you're not getting like there's not as much at stake, but I definitely believe that I have more of like that competition. I have a better competition mindset probably going in than most people do. Just because it's almost like second nature to me because I've been competing as a kid. Like it never gets easier, but I think I handle it very well. So I would imagine that any kind of experience like that is going to be beneficial to someone who, doesn't compete at a high level in another sport.
Well, it's February 3rd, PFL Challenger Series right out of Orlando, Florida. Are you gonna go to Disneyland afterward?
Yeah, we're going to Universal and
Oh,
then
really?
probably
Okay,
Epcot.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, hey, I would definitely too. I mean, Orlando, I mean, it's Orlando, it's right there. So, Amanda, thank you very much for your time. You are fighting, and I'll try it one more time. Naranjangal Sendayush, on February 3rd in the main event. So, is this your first main event that you, or have you done grappling events where you've been the main person on the card?
No, this is my first main event. For grappling matches, I was like a co-main before. So this will be my first main event.
Now, does that mean you get the bigger locker room? Do you get like the extra piece of chicken
I
after?
hope so. I hope so. I'm like, because I'm one of those people. Like, if I could be the first one fighting, I want to be the first one fighting. So when I was like, I was excited about being the main event, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, I just want to get in there and get going. I don't want to wait.
Awesome. Well, we wish you good health as you lead up to as you lead up to your main event February 3rd, and we will all be watching Fubo TV. For those that are listening to this, Amanda Leve, thank you so much for your time and good health, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much. You too.
Okay, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.